All right, let's dive into a story that starts with a question that, honestly, should be impossible to even ask. You've had weird calls, right? We all have. Some unknown number at 3 a.m., maybe a spam call from a city you've never been to, but that's just normal weird. What we're talking about is something else entirely. I'm not talking about a private number. I mean your own name, your own face popping up on your screen, your number calling you. Let's talk about what happened one night to a man named Daniel Carter when he got that very call. So, Daniel Carter, he lives alone in a sleepy little town called Black Hollow. You know the type of place. Nothing ever really happens. But this one night, the air felt heavy, thick. The silence was so complete it felt like it was holding its breath, just waiting. And then it happened. A sound cut through the quiet dark. His phone lit up the room. 2:17 in the morning, and there it was, his name, his number, an incoming call from himself. His heart just hammered in his chest, a cold dread twisting in his gut. But you have to answer, right? He did, slowly. For a second, there was nothing, just silence. Then he could hear it, soft, steady breathing on the other end. And then a voice, a whisper that was unmistakably his own, said, "Daniel, it found us." And just like that, the line went dead. Not a click, not even static. It was just gone. He fumbled with the phone, pulling up his call log, his fingers shaking. But there was nothing there. No record of the call. Nothing incoming, nothing missed. It was completely empty, as if it never even happened. The only proof he had was the phone, still warm in his hand. Now, if that was the end of it, he could have maybe, just maybe, chalked it up to a dream or a weird glitch. But it wasn't the end. Oh no. About 5 minutes later, things went from impossible to utterly terrifying. His phone buzzed, a new voicemail. But here's where it gets crazy. The clock on his phone said 2:22 a.m., but the timestamp on the voicemail? It was from 3:16 a.m. He was looking at a message from his own future, almost an hour from now. His hands were trembling, but he had to know. He pressed play. And the voice that came out of the speaker, it was his. But it wasn't the calm whisper from before. This was him, all right, but panicked, terrified. He could hear the sound of his own frantic footsteps, a door slamming, and then his voice, ragged and out of breath, pleading, "Don't trust the mirror. Don't open the bedroom door." The message just cuts off with this loud, violent bang. As the sound of that bang faded from his phone, a new sound started in his house. A slow, dragging sound, and it was coming from inside his bedroom. Remember, he lives alone. There was absolutely no one else supposed to be in that house. He wasn't even sure why he was doing it. It was like he was on autopilot. He found himself walking out of the living room, down the hall, straight toward the big mirror there. I think a part of his brain just needed to see his own face, to ground himself, to prove he wasn't going insane. But reality? It was already starting to crumble. So he stands there, staring at himself. He lifts his right hand. In the mirror, his reflection does the same thing. But it was late, just a split second behind. But enough to be impossible, enough to make his blood run cold. The laws of physics were literally breaking in front of his eyes. He drops his hand, his own face a mask of pure horror. But the man in the mirror, his reflection, it didn't drop the smile. In fact, the smile got wider. It leaned in closer to the glass, its lips moving, forming two silent words he could read perfectly. Too late. And at that exact instant, slam. The bedroom door slammed shut behind him. So let me ask you, seriously, what would you do? You're trapped in a hallway between a reflection that isn't you and a closed door with something behind it that sounds like, well, who knows? Would you open that door? I really, really wish he hadn't. But he did. He turned the knob, his hands shaking, and pushed the door open. The room was dark, except for the moonlight spilling in through the window. And there, standing in the corner of the room, was a figure. It was him. It had his face, his body, his clothes, but it was wrong. Everything was just off. Its eyes were open just a little too wide. The smile on its face stretched just a little too far. It looked like someone was wearing his skin like a suit, and it didn't quite fit. The thing in the corner tilted its head, this slow, jerky, unnatural motion, and before Daniel could even let out a scream, it spoke in his voice, but not his voice. It said, "Thank you for opening the door," and in that second, every single light bulb in the house shattered, and everything went black. He woke up on the floor of the living room. Sunlight was pouring in. The long night was finally over. He looked around. No broken glass, no sign of a struggle. He checked his phone. Call history, empty. Voicemail, empty. A huge wave of relief just washed over him. It must have been a dream. A really, really vivid, horrible nightmare. He got up, walked back to that same hallway mirror, ready to just laugh it all off. He looked at his reflection. Everything seemed fine. He was fine. To prove it, he blinked. And his reflection just stared back. It didn't blink. Its eyes stayed wide open, perfectly still. And that's when he understood. Well, that's when the part of him that was still him understood. The thing from the bedroom never left the house. It didn't have to. It just took his place. And now I'm here, looking at you through Daniel's eyes. And, to be honest, I'm starting to get a little bored, looking for something new. So if hearing all this makes you a little uncomfortable, if you're suddenly checking your own reflection, maybe feeling for the phone in your pocket, there's one thing you should probably do. Go down to the comments right now and just type 2 words, "I won't answer." Think of it as a warning, a little precaution. Who knows, right? It might help the next person. And while you're at it, subscribe. You really should be prepared. Because next time, the call might not be from your own number at all. It might come from inside your house. Sweet dreams.